Halito everyone, my name is Achila Yona and welcome. This video was requested by a fellow Patreon member. Shout out to you, Ashley, because I did not bother to really research much about Indigenous American clothing, but the findings I have found when it comes to this topic, it is absolutely amazing, and I feel like everyone should know. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into this video. Okay, and I just want to start off by saying that not all Aboriginal American people had the same type of clothing. Yes, we may have had similar ways of making clothing. We may have used the same um, uh, wooden fibers, animal fibers, plant fibers to make the plants or whatever. Please keep in mind that each American Indian nation is different and they had their own type of style to them. Okay, so I just want to point that out there. All right, but first off, let's start off with Cherokee people. Now, there's a lot of things that people do not realize or really know about Cherokee people. And the things I'm gonna say, y'all, the things I'm gonna say, because for one, I do want to point out that Cherokee people, I feel like, are um very misrepresented. Okay, we're always shown what Cherokee people look like, or even in today's time of how we dress, and I'm telling y'all, that's not how we dress. All right, we wore animal hides, primarily deer skin and woven mulberry bark. Okay, and there were other tribes that use woven mulberry bark or just mulberry bark in general to make their clothing. Okay, and we use this to make clothing for men and women. Okay, we use breeches, robes, beaded war. Um, bandoliers, beaded belts, and shirts were all made of soft hide and usually had fringe accents. Long deerskin wraparound straight skirts. I'm sorry. Long deerskin wraparound straight skirts and fringed sleeve tops were traditional Cherokee women's attire. During the cold winter months, we wore furs, beading, and decoration, as well as accessorizing with headpieces, usually a single feather in the back with a band around the head, beaded satchels, bone breastplates, and jewelry were all common among the Anyawaya, aka Cherokee people. Summer clothes consisted of breechcloth made of soft tanned deerskin, and this will be pulled up between the legs, secured at the waist with thongs, which allowed the ends to hang nearly to the knees in front and back. A shorter version was also used because it required less material than, and also it was similar to a man's brief, which was tied at the sides with thongs. We wore simple skin belts until we were married, and had a deerskin purse, quote quote, suspended from the belt in the front. A knife made of flint, obsidian, or copper with a wooden or bone handle was worn on the right side of the belt. Men's moccasins were short with flaps on either side to help protect the ankles from brush. For hunting or warfare, Cherokee men wore leather chaps or leggings that went from the ankle to mid thigh and were fastened to the belt with thongs. Winter clothing consisted of deerskin shirts, fur robes, and moccasins made of beaver or muskrat skin, with the fur on the inside to keep the feet warm. The men had hats made of beaver fur or woven turbans made of hide or cloth. Um, they also wore ponytails on top of their heads, threaded or pulled into hollow tubes of bone or antler, with the tip of the ponytail protruding out. The tip was well greased and sprinkled with red or yellow dust. The hats were open at the top to allow the ponytail to go through. Around the base of the ponytail, a ring of hair was shaved or plucked out to a width or about 2 inches. The sides of the hair was neatly trimmed, exposing the ears or earrings. Okay. Also, men of the long hair clan, they did not wear ponytails. They did not have ponytails, but they did use cloth or leather headbands with a false ponytail attached to the front, made of animal hair. Okay, so next time when someone tells you that American Indians did not wear weave, obviously we did. Okay, also in also in ancient times too, Cherokee men also sported beards, y'all, braided in the center and on each side of the mouth. Okay, later, uh, Cherokee men adopted the style of shaving or plucking out the unwanted facial hair. Men's decoration consisted of woven belts, anklets, and wristbands made by their wives. Okay, so and just to point out there, Cherokee people, we did not wear the Plains Indian war bonnets. It's so much miseducation when it comes to that. We wore turbans, not plain Indians headdresses. So yeah, we did not wear those. Okay, we did not wear headdresses of that nature. Okay. Also, too, buffalo hair was the most common animal fiber in use in the late 1600s, though opossum hair was also used. These robes were woven in a variety of rectangular shapes and sizes. Small hair fiber articles, such as bands worn around the head, waist, arms, and legs, were woven in addition to the robes. The Cherokee women made blankets out of turkey feathers from the neck and breast. They tightly twisted the inner ends of the feathers into a strong double strand of hemp or mulberry tree inner bark. On the base side of the fibers were twisted to form a netting, and the work was done from the bottom of the blanket up. A variety of materials were on hand for the Indian white people to use in regards to making the garments that we wore. We use plant and animal materials to make our clothing. And of course, with more animal materials being used, probably because obviously they were more abundant. We use buffalo, deer, bear, and possibly some opossum, otter, beaver, and panther skins. Feathers were used in various ways. Porcupine quills were used for decorative purposes. The southeastern cultural area, including the states in the southeastern quadrant of the United States, was one of the only three areas in North America where large garments of woven wool or hair were found. Thong necklaces consisted of bone, claw, teeth, shells, copper plates, hammered lead, and large carved shell plates called gorgets. Men also had pierced ears with large shell or metal plates inserted into the hole, stretching the earlobes to great size. Okay, we have heard that before, right? Okay. Okay, ear stretching is nothing new. Okay, American Indian people, we did do that. Okay. Cherokee men um, often tattooed by pricking the skin and rubbing the wound with ashes from a fire to give the tattoo a dark color. War and ball game attire was much the same, but with addition of feathers. Each warrior of each warrior or ball player tied one feather to the top of their ponytail, and another smaller red feather was attached to the top of the larger feather. The art of feather dyeing was reserved for the shaman of the Paint clan. Okay. For stomp dances, men and women would attach shell rattles to their ankles. The dance leaders would use small turtle shells filled with rocks to make a rattling sound with each dance step. Fancy dress moccasins were decorated with colored beads, porcupine quills, and bits of dyed thread. Special head and hair ornaments were made from possum hair, dyed black, yellow, or red. For marriage, brides would wear all white dresses and white moccasins. In colonial times, dresses were typically made from the pieces of cloth that other tribal women tore into rectangles or squares. Today, some women wear a traditional style tear dress that has a white calico pattern. The grooms typically wear a red shirt, black pants, and moccasins, and their outfits are adorned with ribbons. Okay, and now let's talk about the Cherokee tear dress because when I came across the tear dress, I thought um it may have emerged from colonial times, but actually it hasn't. Um the garment we now call the Cherokee tear dress, um it has something to do with Miss Indian America. Okay, in 1968, a um, Cherokee woman named Virginia Strode. Um, she was chosen for Miss Indian America. She competed and she was crowned in a Kiowa buckskin dress that she had borrowed from a college friend. However, W. Keeler at the time, that was appointed Cherokee chief, um, he was approached by a group of Cherokee women about Virginia's official wardrobe, and they felt like it was unacceptable for a Cherokee woman who was supposed to be representing Cherokee people um, dressed as a Kiowa. So Chief Keeler agreed and appointed a committee of Cherokee women to find something more appropriate for Miss Virginia that would reflect the Cherokee's Eastern Woodland traditions, history, and style. Okay. Um, so they went on like for this search for style, and they didn't want it to look like a plain Indian dress style. So they pretty much picked up this style right here. So y'all guys, it's not something that has been around like we adopted like centuries ago. Like this is something more way more modern. Okay, and lastly, we're going to talk about what the children wore. Actually, young children went naked in the warmer months. Older children, of course, they wore woven cloth or skin skirts, and they had fur robes and moccasins that they used for winter. Um, as they approached puberty, that's when they started to wear traditional Cherokee adult clothing. Okay, and to continue talking about the blankets, because the feathers were long and gleaming, the blankets were not only warm and water resistant, but also decorative. Various designs were woven into some of the 21 more elaborate blankets. A variety of colors and types of feathers from other birds and fowls were used to achieve this look. From porcupines were used to embellish hide garments. The quills were dyed in various colors and sewed onto buckskin with deer sinew. They were also woven into bands that could have been used to attach and detach the outfit as a whole. Bast or inner bark was the most common plant fiber used. Okay, and we use majority of the plant fibers we used in clothing came from the mulberry tree, but also some was taken from the slippery elm as well. Fabrics of this fiber were mistaken for cotton by Spaniards because of its light color. Unwoven grasses, rushes, nettles, and mosses were also used for clothing by the women. The grasses and rushes were used to make a grass skirt similar to those worn today by Polynesian women. The mosses and some types of leaves were attached temporarily to the belts and used that way. Okay, now we're gonna head on over to the Choctaw, 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 Choctaw. All right. So, in early Choctaw clothing in Mississippi consisted of whatever was available at that time in the area. The woman wore a blouse and a short skirt made of animal hide in the beginning. The hides were tanned with deer brains. Breechcloths and moccasins were worn by men. They wore pants and a shirt when traveling. They wore animal hide and fur outerwear in the winter, with the lower ends of leggings tucked into the moccasin. When traveling, Choctaw men wore moccasins, but they often went barefoot at home. Later on, the women invariably wore a cotton based blouse and skirt. A shawl kept the body warm in the winter. Women wore moccasins similar to men's, but they preferred to go barefoot at home as well. They wore wooden beads as ornaments. Both Choctaw men and women wore their hair long, plaited at times, and flowing freely at others. After the turn of the century, the clothes worn were similar to those worn by white settlers, or like what I like to call colonizers. The dress style of the white colonizers' women changed, but Choctaw women continued to wear loosely fitted dresses and hemlines just above the ankle. At home, women wore an apron and a kerchief and went barefoot. Okay. The ceremonial clothing was brightly colored and meticulously hand sewn. The origin and date of adoption of this distinctive dress are unknown, but is similar to the traditional peasant dress worn in Brittany, France in the early 1800s. The full sleeve dress has a flowing skirt with ruffles and requires up to 6 yards of colorful fabric. Okay, so you're gonna see in the next slide what I'm talking about right here. Um, this is the dress you see right here with the diamond pattern beads on it. Um, Today's Choctaw clothing is usually a solid color such as green, red, blue, purple, or another bright color with contrasting color trim. Mountains and valleys with a path or trail running alongside them are depicted in the decorative trim. The sun and stars are represented by the circles and cross. Respect for nature, such as respect for the diamond backed rattlesnake, is said to be symbolized by the diamond shaped trim. If you go into the woods and are bitten by a snake, for example, you have invaded his territory and should respect and be cautious. The Choctaw woman's dress includes a decorative white apron and contrasting trim and ruffles. It is both decorative and functional. Okay. The dress opening is determined by the woman's marital status. For access to nourishment for an infant, the unmarried woman's dress is open in the back, while the married woman's dress is open in the front. Um, a beaded decorative comb on the crown of the head is one of these special occasion ornaments worn with the dress. Earrings, a medallion, a diamond lace collar necklace, and a shoulder necklace are among the other beaded embellishments. When performing the Choctaw social dance, multicolored ribbons are usually worn at the back as decorations. A white handkerchief is worn at the neckline, and the outfit is completed with a pair of moccasins. Today, traditional Choctaw dresses are mostly reserved for special occasions. Okay, and then we also have Choctaw dresses are typically trimmed with one of three motifs: full diamond, half diamond, or a series of circles and crosses that may represent the stickball and stickball sticks, but may have originated in earlier designs. The eastern diamondback rattlesnake is said to be represented with the diamond design, which can also be found on Choctaw baskets. Okay. And these two images, figure one and figure two, were created by the Choctaw Nation Historic Preservation Department to show the cold weather wear that would have been worn by the Choctaw men and women in the late 1600s. All of the clothes and other items that are shown would have been made by Choctaw people from natural materials and are a small testament to the skills and knowledge of Choctaw people. Okay. In figure one, the woman is wearing a warm cape made of soft turkey breast feathers attached to the neckliner. Okay. Um, Around her waist is a skirt made of twine fiber that was processed from the inner bark of the mulberry tree. Okay. Women's style moccasins made of brain tan deer hide protect the feet and lower legs. Okay. The necklace is made wilk shell beads from the Gulf Coast. Oh, her necklace is made of whelk shell beads from the Gulf Coast. She is carrying a pack basket made of split river cane supported by a trump line across her forehead. Her facial tattoos, made with pine soot, were worn as marks of beauty. Okay. And then in figure two, the Choctaw man is pictured wearing a painted robe, anchi, made from a softly tanned fur on bison hide. A buckskin breechcloth hangs from his waist, and buckskin leggings protect his legs. He wears short male style moccasins on his feet. His tattoos, earned by valor on the battlefield, distinguish him as a successful warrior and a respected man in Choctaw society. And now we're going to move on to the Creek. Okay. The Creek Indian men wore leather leggings and breechcloths, while the Creek Indian women wore deerskin or woven wraparound skirts. Men did not usually wear shirts, but both genders wore cloaks when the weather turned cold. Moccasins were also worn by Creeks. Later on, the Creeks adapted European fashions and created their own distinct styles, such as ribbon to decorate cloth skirts, jackets, and blouses. The Creeks, unlike the Sioux, did not wear war bonnets. And again, I'm saying this out, and I'm saying this again because I just have to say it. Not all American Indian nations wore war bonnets. Okay, we did not all wear war bonnets. Depending on the climate, early Muskogee people wore clothing made of woven plant material and animal fibers or skins. They preferred lightweight fabrics made of tree bark, grasses, or reeds in the summer. Animal skins and fur were used to keep warm during the harsh winters. The influence of European fashion on Creek clothing styles became apparent in the 1600s. Buckskin was less comfortable and colorful than cloth, so it quickly became a popular trade item in the Southeast. Bolts of cloth were available in variety of patterns and textures, allowing the development of an individual's style of dress. Many Creeks began to use the traders' trinkets and novelties such as bells, ribbons, beads, and mirror fragments. Ruffled cloth skirts and jackets were worn by men with buckskin leggings. A beaded and tasseled sash gathered men's shirts at the waist. Another woven band held a decorative tobacco pouch and was worn across the chest or over one shoulder. Women began to wear aprons with deep pockets and cloth dresses. These ruffled dresses were embellished with ribbon and glass and silver trade beads. They wore silver brooches and colored skin ribbons in their hair that hung almost to the ground. Soft deerskin moccasins were worn by both men and women. These too were embellished with beadwork designs, which were often quite elaborate. On different occasions, different styles of clothing were worn. Men wore only a breechcloth during ball games. Extra clothing would have only slowed down them when they were participating in these games. Women preferred a special ribbon dance during the green corn ceremony. Women wore beautiful dresses with flowing ribbons for the special occasion. Women still wear their traditional ribbon dresses to the day ceremonies. Men, on the other hand, they just adopted the boots, jeans, fitted shirt that is common throughout the West. Okay. Clothing was first made from animal skins, with deer skins being particularly prized. Tattooing was used to decorate the face as well as the arms and legs. Body and facial painting were popular. The bloodroot, a lovely white flower with a red stem and root that can still be found today, was used to make red paint. Ashes could be used to make white. The Creeks combined skins with fabrics as traders arrived in the 18th century, resulting in a remarkably exuberant style of dress. These shoes were made of leather, deerskin, or wool. Leggings and breechcloths are possible options. Colorful calico and silk blouses were popular among all. Tunics and shirts were also made of luxurious silk. Waistcoats made of brocade or cotton could be added. Armbands, girdles, and belts were made of multicolored silks. Cotton or silk turbans were worn embellished with feathers and beads. Coins were frequently worn as necklaces, as were gorgets and medals, many of which featured the image of the president and were freely given away as tokens by the government officials at treaty signings. Silver and copper ear ornaments were particularly prized. Okay, and that concludes today's lesson. So, thank y'all guys so much for watching. And hey, recommend more topics you want me to research and do videos on. Like, I enjoy this, y'all, because before this video, I had no idea that, well, Cherokee men wore beards. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be so shocking because anybody can have facial hair, right? But again, like they like to act as if we only have this one look to us, and it's not, and although throughout this video I told y'all guys that um American Indian people, they have similar designs, and various tribes were using mulberry bark to make their clothing, but however they put their own twist and style to it. So I hope that this video helped y'all guys. Thank y'all again so much for watching, and until the next time, bye.